can you guys do me a huge favor and welcome my friend, our brother, Nicholas Kuzmish. I did it the way you told me to.
You're right.
Just kidding. All right. So, hey, man, welcome, dude.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
These are a little weird, so it kind of makes you
they do lean back.
Yeah.
Right.
We try and keep it gangster, digital marketers, so that's cool. So I'm excited because, one, I just wanted to rap with you a little bit, get people to understand who you are.
Sure.
And then I also want to let you know the way the format is going to work is that Nicholas is going to come up and teach. One of the things that I think you're great at, which you already know, but one of the things he is great at is taking suggestions, the things you want to learn, and being able to go up here and either whiteboard or bring up some examples of things. And I know a lot of our partners have asked, they're like, hey, we want to learn about traffic. We want to learn some of the secrets of what has worked for you. I also know you have like a massive following. You've got 400,000 people on your Facebook page. Like, tell us, I'm sure everyone wants to steal all of your secrets today.
We'll give them all away.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. Can I get a round of applause for that?
There's no secrets. There's no secrets.
So what keeps your hair up?
4 products, actually.
It's funny because, so he goes to the barber every week, which is something I love. And just so you guys know, Nicholas and I go pretty far back. We became friends mostly because he's an excellent dresser. And not only that is that I forget the first time we met. Was it at Cloud Camp up in Colorado?
Oh, yes. Probably.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more. I want to hear some of your stories. So tell us, you're in Toronto.
I am.
You started a business. You've always been an entrepreneur, or did you kind of walk away from something? How that happened?
Well, I always had the hustle of trying to figure out how to make some money, some way, shape, or form. I mean, actually, when I was young, my life story led me to feel like I needed to make a difference in the world. I just didn't know what that meant. Mm-hmm. My faith practice at the time told me that should be through my faith. Mm-hmm. So at 17 years old, I started a church. 19 years old, I was officially ordained, and I was a pastor for 14 years. Pastoring a local church in Toronto, but I made a commitment to never take a salary from the church. So though I was doing this as my primary thing, I said, there's just too much stickiness that goes on if I'm collecting a salary from the church. So I needed to figure out a side hustle to pay for the bills as I'm doing this thing that I feel like I'm called to do.
That is so counter everything that I've ever seen. It's funny because, so church, like pastor, like Christian church, right?
Yeah.
So, and most people, I always see it, it's like they have planes and jets and televangelists and hitting people with jackets and stuff like that, right? So you literally wouldn't do that. You went and did this.
Well,
it started that
I
way.
wouldn't turn away the jets or the planes. I just wouldn't use my congregation's money to do that.
Okay,
I
good,
do my own.
good.
I do it on my own.
I like that. So did it stay that way, or like because it's definitely spiraled into way more than that. You're no longer pastoring a church.
I'm not. No.
But I want to know where some of these side hustles. Like, tell me about the side hustles that you've had to kind of just start making money. And when did you know? Like, man, I'm good at this?
Gosh. So, I mean, I wish I could say I was like a born-bred DNA entrepreneur. I don't think that was the case. Literally, I'm an only child. My father, I saw my father had his first heart attack when I was 4 years old. Scared the hell out. Can we swear on this or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Scared, well, I'll just say hell, all right? Scared the hell out of me. And being an only child, my dad had his third stroke when I was 17, lost sight and feeling on the left side of his body. Him and my mom had a little convenience store as a local business. They were small business owners. And after that, they couldn't work anymore. So at 17, my back is in the corner, basically saying, you've got to be the primary breadwinner for the family. Because I don't have siblings, I don't have anything. I remember the day, after that happened, they had to give up their business. Dad is now kind of stuck at home, sick. I mean, 2 4-inch medical files of just everything that's going wrong. And so my mom, for the first time in her life, as an immigrant mother, has to now find a job. She never worked because she was always working in the business, and so she didn't have a resume. And literally, I remember the day perfectly. She went to get an interview to fold clothes at a dry cleaner. She comes home with tears in her eyes, and I'm sitting there on a Saturday morning watching TV at 17, asking what happened. She wouldn't tell me at first. I finally got it out of her, and she's like, they didn't give me the job because I couldn't speak English well. And so I just made a commitment. I'm like, the hell with this. Like, I'm going to figure this out. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it exactly looks like. And that opened up the world of like trying to do a whole bunch of stuff. So I think my first job was, and everyone in here is pretty familiar with Cutco knives. Anyone sell Cutco knives? Every great marketer starts as a Cutco knife salesman. I was selling knives door to door. I worked my way up the ranks quite quickly, and then I had to make this decision: am I going to sell knives for the rest of my life, or am I going to figure something else out? And fortunately, and the short version of this, I dabbled in a whole bunch of stuff, but I was introduced to the world of digital marketing. And then I thought, well, maybe there's something here. And of course, failure after failure after failure of just like not making anything work ever. And it was the most frustrating thing because I had my family depending on me. I hit a stride. I was in the right place at the right time. Facebook ads had just come out. Google was the 800-pound gorilla at the time, but they had just slapped their clients multiple times. I said, I don't want to be slapped. Let's figure out this Facebook thing because it just came out. Right place, right time. Got on the platform early, started playing on the platform, started getting some early results, selling an ebook that I'd written under a pen name.
Oh, what was that pen name?
The pen name was Mark Mercado.
Mark Mercado?
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, just nice alliteration, right? Mark Mercado. I written it under a pen name because again I was a pastor of a church, and this was about like diet and weight loss, and I didn't want it to be like connected. The ebook at the time, which led to a digital course, was How to Look Great Naked, which kind of didn't work as a pastor. But I started selling this on Facebook, and it was working, and I was like, my God, like what is happening here? But my assumption was everybody was making Facebook work, so I wasn't anything special. And then I just had conversation after conversation with someone, and everyone's like, yeah, we tried the Facebook thing, it didn't quite work for us. And the pivoting point, and again, I'm trying to condense it down, was I was sitting in an event, all entrepreneurs. I just left my post at the church. I'm figuring I'm going to go full into this thing. And it's a Sunday morning. I'm at an event hall called the Berkeley Church, of all places. At an event called Archangel, of all things. And the guy gets up on stage and he says, how many people here use Facebook ads to grow their business? And like 80% of the hands went up.
Oh, wow.
And the second question was, how many people have found it profitable? And every hand went down except mine. And something clicked. And I said, I think I found out what I'm supposed to be doing. And made a decision.
How long ago was that?
That was like 5 years.
5 years.
5 or 6 years ago.
So you went from hand raised in a weird church to multi-seven-figure business Facebook expert in 5 years?
The first kind of $1 million agency year for us was in year 3. And then since then, it's just been...
So I hope you guys all hear this. And the reason why we bring in people like this is because they kind of know a thing or two about this growth thing. And when you hang your hat on something very specific like Facebook,
right.
Then, gosh, you can't really write the book on Facebook, right?
Right.
Right, because it just changes all the time.
All the time.
So what could we impart today? Like one of the things I would love to know is like some quick win stuff and when we get back here.
Facebook specific or just like...
Facebook stuff.
Okay.
But because I think you're great at it. But one thing I was going to ask you is kind of to go back to your story. So there's a lot of younger marketers. There's people who've been here, who've been in the game for a hot minute. What is the, and this is something I've asked every guest that's been here.
Yeah.
You had to overcome quite a bit to get here. So 5 years sounds like, it's 5 years, guys. It's 5 years, millions. No big deal.
Just in the business side, you mean?
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about like that journey, because I really want to know. Like people are wondering right here. They're sitting here. A lot of people are trying to figure out their careers and where they're going, and they want to know like what does it take to get there? What's the sacrifice you had to make? And I think that every single person who sat in the seat has done big things, has had to make a decision.
Yeah, I think the two biggest things that come to mind right away is hours of time. And everyone understands it, but I think unfortunately in our world today, this sentiment of it's just easy. Like you have, we won't say names, but you have just people like, hey, you could be a social media agency tomorrow and make millions. I'm like, no, you can't. No, you can't. There's time, effort, and energy and stuff that can only happen through the trenches. So definitely time. I wanted the fast path. I didn't find the fast path. Like there was definitely blood, sweat, and tears. And then we all know it as entrepreneurs. You're not going to have 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or 15. Every bloody day, I wake up and saying, like, can I keep doing this? Or like, or should I give up? Because sometimes it gets bloody hard. Like 5 minutes ago, so just for perspective, a client on our agency side is worth anywhere from 10 to like 50 grand a month for us. So one client out the door is a good chunk of change. I'm sitting in Marcus's office 10 minutes ago, and I get an email from one of our clients saying we've changed our internal management team. We're bringing Facebook ads in-house. We don't need your services anymore as of July 1st, which is in 3 days from now. So that's like $250,000. That's a little high. Sorry, that's like a 6-figure contract for us, gone like that with one email. And part of me wanted to pout and just be like, well, like, should I just give up? Like, screw this. Like, why? But then the other part of it is like, you just got to keep going. You just keep doing it. So yeah, time, effort, energy, learning, sacrifice, commitment, long hours while trying to raise a family.
You have 2 incredible,
2 kids
beautiful
now.
children, by the way.
Very close to your age.
I know. Yeah. So question for you though. So every single person out here is also probably wondering what the routine is. Because I'll tell you right now, you're on planes constantly. I see you speaking everywhere. I know that you have these clients. You're running an agency, but you got a lot of other side things going on. I did see you in South Africa with Branson, which was interesting. Like literally sitting next to him in the car, staring at elephants. So I need to know what the hell that was.
That was fun.
And but I want to know
he threw elephant crap at me.
All right, let's go ahead and get into that story first. So you're in South Africa, you're with Branson. So tell me a little about, what's he like?
Well, his personality is everything that you, like he's one of the, you know when you like look up to some of these icons and then when you meet them in real life, you're thoroughly disappointed because they're nowhere near what you thought they were like? Richard's the opposite. So everything he is in how you would perceive him, he's that much better in real life.
Wow.
So like, for example, we were there with a small group of entrepreneurs. As soon as he walks in the door, we're having lunch and he goes straight to the kids. Like, cause one family brought their kids, he goes straight to the kids and he's making friends with the kids and he's playing with the kids. I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. He feels like he has this moral responsibility to make planet Earth a better place. Like he doesn't care about his businesses. He's like, we've got to get the plastics out of the ocean, or he set up this thing called the council, which is all ex-presidents and business tycoons to see how they can actually make a difference in the world. So I'm here, I'm like, I run a little Facebook agency, and he's talking about like global change, right? But at the same time, he's also like a super joker. So literally, we're out in his private game reserve it's called Ulusaba in South Africa. And that's just the kind of, like when he first meets you, if you're holding a glass of water, he'll tip it and spill it all over you, which he did to everybody. And then when you're on the Jeep with him, literally next to him, he goes to the washroom a lot. He's like, stop the Jeep and he goes to the back and he takes a whisk and comes back. But one time he just came back with this big ball of dried elephant dung, which is technically only dried grass. I just found that out after the fact. And he comes back and he just threw it at me because I was the guy sitting beside him. So yeah, that's
Does that make you feel pretty good? You're like, okay, great. Like, no, it's funny because I've heard he's eccentric. I've heard he's like over the top. I've also heard all these different things. So like, this is a perfect segue to my original question, by the way. See how I brought this back? I want to know the routine. Because I think people right now want to know successful people who are like out there burning the midnight out. Like, how do you balance it all? What do you do every day? Because you're also a health hacker too, which I know. Yeah. But like, tell me a little bit about like what does your day look like every single day?
Yeah. So I think my roles in life or my hats in life is I'm first a husband, second a father, third a business owner. And by keeping those priorities intact, it makes me more effective at each of them. So if I put entrepreneur first, I think I would neglect my family. But the fact that I have husband first, father second, entrepreneur third allows me to be the best entrepreneur I can, because within the confined time limits that I give myself, I have to get a whole lot more stuff done. So our morning routine is, I used to get up late, now I get up early because we got 2 kids under 2, you know what that's like. And it's time with the kids. I drive my daughter to school every morning. On the way back, I shoot a video for my membership community called the Council Commute, which is, again, good with leveraging time. While my daughter's at school, she's at school for half day, so I'm working, that few hours until I got to pick her up from school. And then basically, after she's back from school, barring anything, it's family time. Like, we'll take her out, I'll push her around, we'll jump on the trampoline, like whatever we got to do. But it's amazing. I get more done in like the 3 to 5 hours than I've ever done in the 14 hours when I didn't have kids.
It's very interesting, right? There's a rule there somewhere, right? where it's like if you give yourself 14 hours to do something, you never get anything
Parkinson's
done.
law.
Parkinson's law, that's right.
Yeah.
And so if you give yourself a very restricted amount of time with a lot of pressure, you're getting things done. And I think that's really incredible. The other thing is that you work more than that though. So if it's family time and whatever, you go also work in the evenings. And
yeah, and then my daughter goes down at 7, and then from 7 till let's say 10 or so, I'm working again. And then try at 10. And certain days, are just like date nights or whatever. But 7 to 10, 7 to 11, we're working some more, and then.
But entrepreneurship's easy.
Oh yeah.
Because it's funny that people literally have this concept of being like, man, when I make it, I'm going to work less.
Oh yeah. Well, no. But like I think one of the dangers is when people start to segment out. As someone who maybe like goes to work and has set hours, which frankly I envy, because if you can go to work at 9 and come home at 5 and leave this stuff there, great. So I envy that to a certain degree. I just can't do it. I've tried. But I don't think there's such a thing as quote unquote work-life balance or the segmenting of it all. Like we live one life, that life has several parts to it. We prioritize those things, that which is important to us. So like you said, like my health is important. I'm working out or I'm doing MMA every day. My kids are important, so I'm spending time with my kids every single day. My work is important. My clients are important. The people I serve are important, so I spend hours every day doing that.
Right.
And essentially, it's a 24-hour day. You sleep a few of that, and then you're doing the things that are important to you for the rest of the hours. So.
Wow. So I really wanted to give people an opportunity to see the people that we bring up here. And yes, you're going to get into teaching and fun stuff in a second. In fact, we're going to kind of do like a choose your own adventure thing for the audience and people at home to actually tell us exactly what they want to learn today. And he's going to get up here and do it, which is awesome. But I really want to tell people, like, you are a business owner. And business owners that we bring in here are a rare animal. If you're an agency owner in here, or you're watching online, or you're working a digital marketer and you're thinking about entrepreneurship in a really linear way, it's that it has no end.
Yeah.
And I think the funny part was I laugh at, I see people in our Facebook group on the partner page being like, oh, I remember what weekends were like, right? Because when you're an entrepreneur, it ends with you. Right. So last, maybe Jerry Springer, final thought there before we hop into this other part. Tell me one thing for a young marketer in the room, or a young person in the room who's trying to figure out their career path. What's a piece of advice that you have for them? Because it sounds like you've had a jungle gym of that.
Yeah. So can I give two tactical things that I think can be executed?
Absolutely.
One of them, to a certain degrry, was I had my greatest year of my life, not just in my business, but in my life, was the year I went on an information fast. And what I mean by that is, for 1 year I decided I'd consumed so much content to the point where I used it as an excuse to not implement. I was like, oh, there's another course out? Great. There's another conference out? Great. There's another workshop out? Oh, great. There's another mastermind to join? Great. And there's this weird like dopamine hit every time you buy something that you think or perceive it's going to make you a better business owner, even if you never consume the damn thing. Just by buying it, you feel like you've made progress. And I did this for years and years and years, to the point where I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's go on an information fast. I'm not allowed to buy, purchase, attend, no blogs, no podcasts, no events, no masterminds for 1 year.
Let's just see what happens. Books or
didn't read any books. Didn't listen to any books. Didn't for 1 year.
That sounds really dumb.
Yeah, well.
Did you sit in a room and like eat saltine crackers? Like, I don't know what you did right now.
My takeaway was take everything I already knew to be true and just actually implement it. Like, there's a thought. Like, do something with it. Because here's the thing. Here's the danger of you sitting in a day like today, is that you're going to go home. I already see people on page 10 in their notebook. Right? So you're going to go home with a notebook full of notes, and then life is going to get in the way, and business is going to get in the way, and everything is going to get in the way, and that's going to sit in your notebook, and you're going to come back next month, and you're going to add another 10 to 15 pages, and you're not going to do anything with it. Right? So if there's one thing, I think, entrepreneurs suffer from what I would call infobesity. It's too much consumption, not enough output. And I think if you don't want to go on an information...
Hashtag infobesity. You have redeemed yourself. You were dumb a minute ago. You're a genius now. There you go. Good job.
So the takeaway, I guess, is not so much don't consume the content, but the takeaway is, and this will segue into something I learned from actually a war room member named Carl White. I'll give credit where credit's due. I remember one time him telling this story and applied it to my life, where he walked into, I believe it was a war room event. This was when war room had just started years and years and years ago. It's a $25,000 mastermind paid annually. He showed up on day one, and within 5 minutes of sitting there in day one, he left. Now, most people, when you pay that kind of money, you're like, well, I'm staying for every bloody second. It better be worth every penny.
I want to wear Ryan Dicey's skin.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's right. And then when it was followed up and asked him, why'd you leave? He said, I got my idea for the year or for the quarter. I'm done. And he went and he implemented. And I took that to heart. And he later expanded, when I was talking to him after the fact, on this concept called broken bridges. And he says what most entrepreneurs do is they're at point A trying to get to point B, so they start building that bridge. And let's call it content marketing. So they're building this bridge called content marketing. And let's say they get halfway done and then they're like, oh, I just saw an ad for video training. I need to get on that video training stuff. So they start building the second bridge. And just before they get there, oh, did you know that LinkedIn is a great way to grow your business? And so the year goes by. It is a good one.
It's a really, I love that platform.
It is a good
Don't
way.
talk shit about LinkedIn.
I'm not going to, I'm just saying.
All right.
A year goes by and you look back at the gap and you see that you were really busy, but what you're noticing is just a whole series of broken bridges and no actual fulfillment. And so what I took away from that was find the one thing, whatever that is, and do it to completion. It doesn't have to be a year, but just do it to completion. Master it, implement it in your business, and then start the second bridge. Then start the third bridge. But I think the greatest takeaway here is again, information is great, but implementation is much better. So implement the one thing you're going to learn from today or whatever's in the front page of your notebook. What are the 1 to 3 things you can do right now? Then ignore the rest until those are done. Then you can come back to those things and decide what the next 1 to 3 things are for you. But I think that is what allowed me to just say, you know what, I'm putting on my blinders and I'm going to make it happen. Okay,
so you said 2 things? Is that?
That was the 2 things. Two things as one thing. That segued so well you thought it was one thing. Right?
Now I'm dumb. Okay, no, it's good. Okay, ninja mind tricks. That's good. Every Canadian does that. So what we're going to do really quick is, look, can we hop down here?
Yeah.
Can we hop down here? Okay, so let's hop down here, do some fun. They're going to change the stage up. I'm going to throw, so everybody knows this could come at your face at any minute, okay? And what I want to do is everybody also online. So if you're watching online, if you're a partner in here, if you're somebody in the back and you want to figure out some questions or what you want to learn from Nicholas, I want to make this a very interactive approach. So he has 2 things. So it's kind of like so in basketball, there's a thing called basketball here. And
Can you give me a hockey analogy?
There's like a triple threat, but you have to keep the pivot. So here's a triple threat. So we either have...
Hey, the Raptors are a good team.
We either have more... Listen, Drake. Drake's the ambassador for Canada now.
Drake, Justin Bieber, Celine
Jim Carrey,
Dion,
Pamela Anderson,
Come on.
all those people who are so great here and they live in the U.S. So let's do this. If you have questions, I want to do kind of an AMA. So it's ask you anything. That's one kind of triple threat. The other one is there's a beautiful whiteboard. This guy's an incredible whiteboarder in terms of like how he shares and how he can unfold things, give notes to people, real tangible. Or you can give real life examples because I had you bring your computer over here and you could share that way too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so let's talk about things that you can talk about. So let's give me 3 big areas. I mean, Facebook obviously, but what are some other things that you could talk about?
So anything agency related, obviously. Now, let me just preface this by saying we scaled out an agency to a bunch of employees and did that, and then it scared the hell out of me, and then I scaled back. And then we ended up being a boutique agency. So I can't really talk about how to scale in numbers. I can only talk about how to scale in size and revenue based on a smaller operation. So that's one thing.
So less overhead, more money?
Yeah, we call that netting.
Yeah,
call that netting up in my world.
Okay,
but
cool, yeah. All right.
How to increase revenue without having to increase output in terms of financial output. Anything traffic or traffic-y related. Now keep in mind, I know I'm positioned as a Facebook guy and we can talk about like nuance and the weeds of Facebook and stuff, but where my heart really is understanding that Facebook is just a medium, right? It's just a platform by which conversions and transactions happen. So we can talk anything about anything related to that. I'll probably start by drawing out a basic framework that I think we can use, and then we can let people choose your own adventure. But it is my greatest desire that if you have a very tactical question or a high-level question that you'd like answered, I'd rather spend time on that than my own content. So wherever we want to go with that.
So let's do this real quick. Anybody here already have a question for Nicholas? Of course. No, yes, of course the partners do. Anybody else from Digital Marketer World have a couple questions? Okay, cool. So why don't we do this? Can you draw out some framework?
Okay.
Then we'll take some questions.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of see where things go?
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yes.
All right, well, that marker up there works. So that's
Okay,
good.
this marker up here.
Can we get one more round of applause for Nicholas?
Wait till it's over.
No, you get a pre. You never know we're going to get to the end.
That's true. We might not get an end. So everything over the last 18 months, like we've really been, here's the thing, a lot of conversation that I've had with a lot of people is how to make Facebook ads profitable on day one. A lot of people can make Facebook ads profitable down the road, right? If you put someone in a nurture sequence. And here's the beautiful thing about it, what many people don't realize is that, write these stats down. Of 100% of the people that inquire about purchasing something, statistics show that 50% of them, or half of them, will buy that thing within 18 months. Now, they might buy it from you, they might buy it from someone else. But, for example, if 100 people went to go see a washer and dryer, 50 of them will buy a washer and dryer with, let's call it 2 years. Will buy a washer and dryer within 2 years. From you or from not, they'll buy that, okay? Now, of the 50% of the people who do buy, 15% of them buy within the first 90 days. Meaning 85% of your buyers come in on day 91 up until 2 years. Now think about the reality of that then. If that's the case, most our entire industry is designed around like short-term funnels, if you will. It's how to get people within the first 7, maybe 10 days. And after that, it's like we exclude them and we put them on a list called like dead leads, right? Because they didn't buy in the first 10 days. Majority of your buyers are there. And for every lead you generate, note that the more you invest into that lead and the more you nurture them, the more the value of that lead goes up over time. So someone who enters into your world today is not going to be worth as much as someone who's in your world 2 years from now if you treat them well. Does that make sense? Now, that's not my world. I don't play in that world. I work top of funnel, if you will, but I just want you to know that the majority of your buyers are going to come later. But I'm interested in how do we make Facebook ads or traffic in general profitable on day one, because the more you can make early on, the more you can self-liquidate early on, the more you could spend to acquire more leads, and that lead value goes up over time. And so what we've experimented with was what is the best top of funnel, right? This is not the best funnel. This is just kind of for us, what is the best top of funnel experience? And this is what we have found. So let me explain this in just a second. There's a couple of elements to this, and then I'll explain it a little further. Let's draw some arrows. So everything starts with an ad that, if we need to say, is going to be targeted to a specific audience, which we can talk about in just a second. But it's an ad that's going to offer your ideal target or your ideal prospect a lead magnet on one of two different types of opt-in pages, but let's just call it a traditional opt-in page or some content designed to convert that lead. And then here's where, and this is not new to anybody, right? Add to lead magnet. But here's where I think things can change, where people underutilize this system. This is a traditional thank you page, but we call it a GFO page. And what GFO means is where we make a Godfather offer. And why is it a Godfather offer? Because it's an offer that what? They can't refuse. So ideally, anybody who's prepared to buy now, we're going to give them every reason to buy and buy now. But we want to do that without necessarily hurting those who are not ready to buy now, and not necessarily having someone enter into a relationship with us with regret. How many people in here have ever seen what's known as an OTO, a one-time offer that basically said, buy now or die? And you bought, but you entered into that experience with that particular vendor or whatever, almost with a feeling of regret. Like if I just had more time, I could have thought through this, but I had to buy now. And so I'm entering into the experience not with the most positive mindset. I may be entering into it with like kind of a regretful type mindset. Everyone have that experience? So here's the thing then. How do we have a Godfather offer that not only doesn't disappoint those who are going to buy later, but also allows people to enter into our world with a smile on their face rather than with a frown on their face? And we do that by essentially not giving them an OT or a one-time offer, making them offer buy right now, but we give them 72 hours to make that decision, in which case, in those 3 days, we do some crafty little retargeting and email sequences that follow up. So let me just explain this, and then we can choose our own adventure and dive deep into any one of these frameworks in just a second. Is that cool? Yeah. So we have used this in every potential possible niche industry offer. It doesn't matter. If you are selling a live event ticket, if you were selling a high-level mastermind, if we were selling e-commerce products, if we were selling our agency services, if we're trying to get brick and mortar people into a clinic to get treated for something, this has always been the most cost-effective way and the most profitable way to generate a lead and turn that lead into a profit in the shortest amount of time. Mostly on day one, but at least within 3 days. And so I say that we have 4, what I call ROAS accelerators. 4 return on ad spend accelerators. 1 is market. This is who you're going after, so we could spend a whole bunch of time deep diving into what that really means. 2, your magnet, what it is that you offer to your ideal prospect to get them to say yes, extend their hand to you and say, let's have a conversation. But not only that, to pre-frame their minds to start to think about buying and transacting with you. Number 3, your message. And that's everything from the actual ads that are going out all the way through to your positioning, to your emails, to what you say on all these pages in order to get people, again, in the right frame of mind to transact with you when they're ready. And 4, I call this movement. And what it really means is the system or the offers that we have in place to ensure that that happens. And so if anyone is looking to get better results from paid advertising, Facebook or not, but if anyone's looking to get better results, you can accelerate your return on investment by tweaking and optimizing these 4. If you do 1, you'll get certain better results. If you do 2, you'll get even better results. But if you can manage to get all 4 of these working tightly and working properly, that's when you're going to start to see the results. So at this point, what we can do is I can deep dive. This is the framework that fits into here. So your market, your message, some of your messaging, and your magnet. This is your movement. Everyone okay? Someone get hurt? Everyone all right? And that whole process. So if you're okay with it, Marcus, we can deep dive based on what your needs are, either into any one of these things and go real deep. Depending on the time, we could do more than one. Or if we have specific questions about anything as this or something else pertains to you and your business and your agency, we can definitely do that as well. So, squeaky wheel will get the oil. Who wants to take us down this rabbit hole? If not, we're done. That was great. I don't even have to teach anything.
I'm super happy you flew out here.
Yeah. We can just like stop right there.
Let's go here. All right. You ready? Who is it for, though? Is it you? Okay.
This is for digital marketer. No.
Is it working?
Is it?
Oh,
yeah,
it is.
It is working. So let's go into messaging.
Sure.
So say you have your market. You know exactly who you're going with. You've picked out what you're gonna lead them to the magnet.
Sure.
Lead magnet. Better word there. What are you? Is the messaging in the follow-up, or are you thinking that all the way through the funnel?
Yeah, excellent question. So I think messaging ultimately starts with your positioning. Right? The question is, what are you saying that's different than what your competitors are saying? If I'm like, hey, I'll help you with Facebook ads, Well, so is every other Facebook person out there, right? So I think it starts that way. I may have drawn this too big, but let me kind of walk you through. David Ogilvy, you familiar with David? He called it the orbits. I decided to just tweak and modify it and make it a pyramid. But he says that there are 3 ways that you can enter into your marketplace. One of the ways you can enter into your marketplace is the promise. This is where most people play. And basically, if you were to answer, what do you do for your industry or what do you do for your market, you would answer it this way. How to, or we help people lose weight. We help people get better results on their Facebook ads. We help people. Now that's good. I'm not saying you shouldn't have this. I'm just saying it's at the bottom of the totem pole because guess what? Most of your competitors are saying the same thing, right? And so this is what we would call a red ocean. And this is where it's going to be very hard to stand out in your marketplace. And in today's social world, standing out is kind of what you need to do. Otherwise, you're just going to be beige, right? So first he says your promise. Secondly, he says your position. So the positioning that you take in the marketplace. Now that could be one of 2 things. It could be, are you a trusted advisor in your marketplace? Or it could be, when everybody is saying webinars are amazing, maybe your positioning is, well, webinars suck, right? It's an angle. So you could take a contrarian angle. You could take an agreeing angle. You could take whatever angle you want, but your positioning is better than your promise because now you have something to stand for. Right? But thirdly, and he called it your big idea, but I just call it your preeminent idea. This is the thing that essentially makes you you. This is the thing that makes you different from everything else. And the reason why we're talking about this from a message perspective is because now this becomes the thread by which everybody interacts and understands you. Let me give you a quick example of this if you haven't heard me talk about it before. Everyone familiar, many years ago now, is one of the top infomercials that ever existed. A company called Beachbody released one of their first products, and it was a workout product from a guy named Tony Horton, who was a 50-year-old dude with abs. Do you remember that? What was the company? Oh yeah, the product was P90X. Now let's just kind of walk through this if this was them. If they basically came to the market with only a promise, they would have said or sounded something like this. Hey, we will help you get ripped and lose weight. Would that have made them $1 billion company, $100 million product? Clearly not, because everyone was saying that at the time. Now, their positioning was a little unique because at that time when it was released, everybody was basically saying, hey, we'll show you how to lose weight without doing anything. That was the sentiment that was out in the marketplace is, hey, easy weight loss, right? The 4-minute workout or the non-diet diet, or you get the Suzanne Summers, whatever the thigh thing, and all of a sudden, if you just do this over and over and over again, you're going to lose all the weight, right? When they came to the marketplace, what did Tony say? You got to work. This is a workout for badasses. 90 minutes for 90 days straight. We're going to mix it up. You're going to be sweating. You're not going to be happy, but you're going to look great at the end. So their positioning was unique. Now, would that have made them the company that they were? Maybe. But what was their preeminent idea? What was the thing that they threw out into the marketplace that everyone latched onto that made this thing different than all of this out there? It was 2 simple words. First word, muscle. Second word, confusion. 2 words that mean absolutely nothing, and yet meant absolutely everything. Because their position was this: hey, everyone knew what muscle memory was. It's where you do the same thing over and over again so your body adapts. And he said most workouts are like that. When you do the same workout over and over and over again, your body adapts, your metabolism slows down, you stop losing weight. So we have muscle confusion. What is that? It's where you do a different workout every day for 90 days. You confuse your muscles so your metabolism stays high, and that's how you get shredded and look like me. And he's a 50-year-old dude with abs doing horizontal push-ups, pull-ups. Anyone ever try? Did you ever try horizontal pull-up? A normal pull-up. So the first thing I say when we start with message, and again, I could walk you through my how to write a great ad template if we have time. I'd be happy to do that. But even on a higher level, why I want to start here is because if you're a digital agency or you're selling a product, if you are saying what everybody else is saying, and that's what your messaging is and leads with, you're gonna be lost in the sea of just a lot of people making a lot of noise. So I want you to, think about Tony Robbins, for example. When he first started his business, he clearly admitted that most of his content wasn't original. He borrowed that from his mentors, the Jim Rohns of the world. But on the third or the last day of his premier kind of event, he made everybody go outside in the parking lot, take off their shoes and socks, and walk across coals, hot burning coals. Now think about what that did. There's nothing special about that. You realize that. No one really gets hurt. It's just fun. Everyone thinks, wow, this is cool. But when they went back to work on Monday and they're having cooler talk with other employees in their businesses, when they said, hey, what'd you do this weekend? Did they say, oh, yeah, I went to a business conference? No. What did they say? I walked on fire. So Tony Robbins, Seth Godin calls it something. Seth Godin calls it your purple cow. It's Domino's Pizza, first people to come to the market to say 30 minutes or it's free, right? When you are communicating what it is that you do, what is your purple cow? What is your fire walk? What is your muscle confusion? What is the thing that when people think about your agency and why they'd pick yours versus someone else's, they'd say, I want yours, because you have something that's a little bit different, right? So I think that's where your messaging starts, is understanding that you are communicating through everything that you do, that you say, that you wear, that you experience, that you talk. There's going to be a certain perception that is going to be picked up by that. And so how do you have your story, your message, your thing stand out? And then from there, the lead magnets and the ads and the blog posts and the content and the podcasts and everything you do come from that place. Now you have a body of work, as we call it, that people will always draw back to and say, oh, that's the guy who does that, right? Does that make sense? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Can we keep going? Do we have time? Okay. Everyone okay? So again, if we want, we can dive deeper and talk about how to write great ads, or we can kind of move into some of these other things. Yes?
I have a question.
Box.
I have a question related to, messaging.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across companies who are so close to their product and that
sure.
it's hard for them to see, is it subjectively or objectively? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though.
But whichever one it is.
Yeah.
But it's hard for them to see what that big idea is, what their positioning should be, because all they can see is the product.
100%.
And if you have, how do you help them?
Yeah, the easiest thing for that was, and I went through an exercise where I was at an event once, and actually the host of the event said, I want you to text 10 of your best friends and have them text you back with the one word that describes you best. I was like, that's kind of weird. I don't think I'm going to do that. Because, you get all weird and self-conscious about that. And then I actually did. I texted people and I said, hey, I'm just at a conference. I'm at an event. This is the exercise that was being said to us. Can you just text me with one word or 2 or 3 words that you would use if you had to describe me in that limited vocabulary? And the funny thing was, the things that came back were awe-inspiring and humbling and all that. But at the same time, it also resonated with me. It's like, oh, actually, this is how people perceive me as. Now, I'm not saying that type of exercise, but I'm saying if you're too close to something, all you got to do is get people around you who are willing to be honest about the thing and say, hey, how do you see this? Or what do you think is different about this? It's very easy to even reach out to your customers and clients, or reach out to close friends, or reach out to confidants in this room and say, hey, what I do. Give me some idea about how you perceive us to be. And sometimes they'll be right on. Sometimes the perception you're putting out there is actually very different than what you would hope for, which is great because it just means you modify, tweak, and optimize. Yeah.
Question. You mentioned that the 72 hours you have the 3 messages that you send out. So do you send them out in certain,
Love
how do you
that.
send that out?
Love that. So keep in mind what just happened. The question was about what happens during the 72 hours, right? So the person has been scrolling through their news feed. You've got your targeting locked in. You know that the person seeing the ad should be seeing the ad. They see the ad, they stop, they see the image, they read the copy, they're like, I'm in. They hit the button to go to the landing page. The landing page offers them a lead magnet, and they've now opted in. They put in their name and their email address. Now think first here, how far that person has come just to get there, right? Just to get there. They've stopped doing what they were doing. They've read what you have written. They've then went to another page and they've given you private information. right? There's this amazing amount of momentum that is building. And then what most people do when they get to the thank you page is do what? Most people, not you, but what do most people do? Yeah, they're like, thanks, here's the thing you asked for. For a lot of people, that's just like putting a brick wall into the guy who's running at full tilt, right? So in this case, we're building that momentum. We're showing them what, again, I call a GFO or a Godfather offer to say that, hey, if you're a fast mover, and what I mean by a fast mover, I categorize all prospects into 3 swim lanes, if you will, slow, medium, and fast. Right? Slow, well, fast are the people who are like, you know, they make those memes like, just take my money. You know those memes? Those are fast people. They're like, I don't need the whole webinar. I don't need to read the whole sales page. Where's the button? Give me the button. I'm going to buy right now. How many people are fast movers in here? A few of you. Yeah, like business owners, like wet dream right there. It's just like, you don't even have to say anything. And they're like, yeah, I see a button. I'm going to press it. Right? Medium movers are people who the traditional sales funnel is designed for, right? 7 to 12 touch points before someone makes a buying decision. So we have our sales funnels and they do that, right? And then the slow movers, these are people who get on your email list and they read every email you ever put out for like 6 months, and then like a year, and like 2 years, and like 6 years go by. Then you know they've read every single email you've put out and they've even clicked the links. And then after like 6 years and 3 days, they're like, yes, I'm ready to buy your book. Right? So it's recognizing that those 3 people are in that category, and so we have to kind of compensate for that. So then the worst thing you could do on this Godfather offer page is like, hey, I've got this thing that I know you want. Buy it or buy or die, essentially. Buy now or never buy again. So what we found is that a 72-hour sequence, allowing people to go do their due diligence, to read up, to talk to their significant other, no matter what the price point is, to talk to whoever they need to talk to make that decision. Now, if we just ended it right there and said, hey, you have 3 days to make this decision, come back when you're ready, what would happen? They totally forget about you, right? So you do need to stay in front of them, and we do that with 3 emails and 3 Facebook ads. Why do we do that? Here's kind of a side ninja hack, if you will. We call this mirroring in our business. And what mirroring or surround sound is, anytime a pivotal piece of content or every time an important pillar communication goes out to your email list. Let me just kind of preface this. How many people have email lists here? What's your average open rate? If you're good? Okay, 30% if you're good. Anyone have better than 30% open rates for their leads? Not their customers, but leads? 100%? Dang. Every time I send an email to my mom, she opens it. 100% of the time. So think about this. Like, let's call it 20%. Let's call it 30%. Let's say you're above average and you have a 30% open rate. What does that actually mean? 70% are not reading your pillar important content. So what do we do about that? Well, obviously, you know, through syncing tools, or if you want to do it manually in the slow way, you always upload your list to Facebook ads. And now we have a rule in our company and for all of our clients that anytime a pillar piece of communication, an important piece of communication goes out, whether it's our newsletter, our weekly pillar content, whatever is going out to our email list, at the same time, a Facebook ad is targeting that exact same list with that exact same content. What you tend to find happen then is not only do your email rates go up, because at first they see the email in their inbox, they ignore it, but they see the Facebook ad, they're like, oh, that's right, and they go open the email there, or they never open the email, but they still get the content over here, they click the call to action, and they're taken to where they need to be taken. Okay, so let's make a commitment here together, folks, that every time you send pillar content, not every email, but anytime you send pillar content to your database, that you will have a corresponding Facebook ad that will run in sync with that to ensure that that content gets read by your people. Yes? Yes. Okay, like 4 of you, great. Your business is going to be so much better tomorrow. You're welcome, everybody else. Good luck. Right? So, sorry, I'm getting back to this. So during the 72 hours, what we essentially have are 3 ads and 3 emails. The emails are your typical not your typical, I'm sorry, like your soap opera sequence type emails. And what you want to include in them basically is story or narrative. Because the goal here is that person doesn't know who you are. And because they don't know who you are, you need to build rapport with them. I believe that the only reason why people choose to transact with us today is based on one thing and one thing only, and that is resonance. It's because they resonate with you. Because you're not the only person who does what you do. I'm not the only Facebook guy out there, but the people who are in my world are in my world because they feel like they connect with me on some level. Does that make sense? So part of our communication always has to have story and narrative. Secondly, it has to include obviously the download link, because you've given them something. Obviously, you want them to have it. Thirdly, a reminder of the GFO, just softly. Hey, by the way, don't forget, you only have a few more days or a few more hours. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. You only have a few more hours, to get this thing that we offered you. And lastly, an open loop. What does the open loop do? It has the mind desire for that loop to be closed, so they're going to read your next email the next day. Right? So, a story, for example, so when one of the lead magnets that we put out there is called the perfect ad template. I show people the exact 10 steps to write a perfect Facebook ad. And the first email that goes out once they download it is, I remember it was like yesterday. And I go through the story of when my father passed away. And I relate that to Facebook ads because I'm proving the point that people want to feel connected. They want to know how you feel, and they want to know that you understand how they feel. And so I make that point, and then I say, just so you know that every time we've written an ad, we've followed this perfect ad template. Make sure you download it. Thirdly, a reminder that the special training that we're offering for you is only available for the next little while. And tomorrow, I'm going to tell you, again, this is kind of like the open loop. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell you how we made a room full of SaaS owners cry. It's like, wait, huh? Or tomorrow, I'm going to tell you about the worst day of my life. Or tomorrow, I'm going to tell you how Tony, who spent $50,000 with Facebook ads and didn't make a penny, ended up actually getting a 30,000% ROI the next time we helped them, right? It's just an open loop to get that person to say, I want to tune in tomorrow. You go through that same sort of sequence again, and then the last one, again, you're just reminding them, hey, by the way, today's your last day to get this GFO offer. So that's what your emails are doing. On the ad side of it, during the sequence, number one, ad is a basic retargeting ad, and a lot of our first initial retargeting ads, I like to use a variation of Dean Jackson's 9-word email, except I call it the 9-word ad, and it's basically, hey, are you still interested in blank? Right? It's a soft way to say, hey, we're kind of connected, I kind of know who you are because you clicked on this thing, without getting like too much in their face and being like, why didn't you buy? Or do you ever see those like retargeting ads are like, why do you hate me? Have you seen those before? It's like, I didn't, but I do now. Like, why are you assuming that? Right? So, hey, are you still interested in blank is a great way to open a retargeting ad, right? Hey, are you still interested in the perfect ad training? Right? Then, from there, you want to offer a little bit of social proof, mention a benefit, and give a call to action. This ad training helped Susie get 26,000 leads, all for under $1 a lead in 3 weeks. And allows you to never have to worry about the next time you write an ad again. Click here to get your training at the discounted rate. Right? So again, that's ad 1. That's going to run for 3 days. And then ad 2 only shows up on day 3, the last day in that sequence, and basically says last chance, final notice. I like those 2 words, last chance, final notice, or final notice, last chance, that kind of thing. And it's essentially saying, hey, just a reminder. Again, you're not getting aggressive here. No one likes to be aggressively sold. It's So hey, just a reminder, you only have a few hours left to take advantage of this training. You're going to add a little social proof in there, join tens or hundreds or thousands of others who've participated and are starting to see results. Call to action. Click here to get it. The third ad that goes for 3 days, if you can do this, is 100% testimonial/endorsement ads. Usually what we like to do on those are carousel ads, video carousel ads, because this way you can stick 5 testimonials in one ad as videos. And my wording for that is, hey, are you still on the fence about this? Don't say this. Are you still on the fence about the perfect ad training? Well, don't just take my word for it. Hear what Tom, Jim, Sally, Sue, and Paul have to say about it. And then you have the video ads there. Now you're letting the other people who've gone through the program actually sell the thing for you. So those are the 3 ads that are happening. So 3 emails that you're building rapport and giving people a chance to interact with you, and 3 ads that are allowing, kind of doing the same sort of thing, right? Just staying up front. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, hold on, because first of all, holy crap. And 2, so we have about 8 minutes, and so what I really want to do is, I know there's some questions online. Is it okay if we transition just to some Q&A real
Whatever
quick?
we
Is
need,
that-
yeah,
Okay,
100%.
perfect. Mind if I grab that box, and then I'll give it to...
Just quickly, did you say 3 days, 1 day, 3 days?
Yeah, the testimonial ads and the primary ad are going for the full 3 days.
Yeah.
The last chance final notice are only showing up on day 3. It takes a little bit of strategery with your inclusion and exclusion audiences, but essentially you want to create an audience that's a 3-day audience and a 2-day audience. You want to exclude the 2-day audience and include the 3-day audience, and that makes sure that the day 3 audience gets shown.
It's just that simple.
Just that simple.
Hi.
Hey.
So I have like 3 or 4. All right.
Okay, well,
You get one.
Jenna.
I'll answer 1 minute at a time. We'll do rapid fire.
Cool.
Sweet. All right. Jenna would like to know, where and how do you prospect?
For our agency?
Sure.
Sure. Well, I prospect our products on Facebook. For our agency, we got to this place about 2.5 years ago where we don't have to do any prospecting for our agency anymore. We got a flood of applications that come in literally every day of people who want to work with us. But when I did have to prospect, I think there's 3 ways, three spaces where you could get clients from. One is cold, most expensive but highest scale. 2 is warm, which is better but less scale. And 3 we'll call endorsed. You want to be doing all 3 all the time, because cold very quickly turns into warm when they're in your world, right? So cold will turn, and hey, if I'm an agency, I do the exact same thing. An ad, this is how, let me tell you how I got my first client actually. I had an ad that went to people who were interested in Facebook ads that offered a lead magnet to show people how not to get their ad account shut down. Because at the time that I did this, it was about 3 or 4 years ago, all hell broke loose, right? Everyone was losing their ad accounts. I called the lead magnet Facebook apocalypse, and it was a simple checklist that showed you how to avoid getting your ad account shut down. Then on the GFO offer was a video of me saying, hey, look, I'm trusting that this thing will be super helpful for you. Frankly, if you're worried about this, you probably don't want to be doing this yourself. You probably want someone who knows what they're doing take over your Facebook ads account for you, which led to an offer for a strategy session. They got on the call with me or our sales guy, and we closed deals all day long doing it that way. Do you see how that can be applied even for agencies? Right? So cold, warm, obviously warm is people who are in your world on a platform of yours, email, Facebook page, Facebook group, podcast, YouTube, wherever you have a platform where people are following you. You could always have soft reminders of getting people involved with you. In fact, let me say this. I know this is longer than a minute. This is completely stolen from Dean Jackson. Dean Jackson has what he calls a super signature. And he goes, every time you put out a correspondence to your platform, you always end by saying, hey, whenever you're ready, these are the 3 best ways I can help you. Number 1, you can get my free lead magnet over here. You wouldn't call it a lead magnet. Number 2, you can join our product or our program. Or 3, we can hop on a strategy call and see how we can help serve you better. And that means every time you send out a warm correspondence to people who are in your warm world, you'll get people who will follow up with you. And then lastly, endorse. These are basically either friends in the industry or your current clients. You should have a system in place where your current clients can and should be referring their people to you as well. And by having all 3 of those go on at the same time, you should never have a client attraction issue ever, right? By operating on all three of these and having systems for all three, it should come all day long.
Next one. Do you have a successful Facebook ad campaign that our partners can model to generate new clients for their agencies?
Yeah, I just shared that. So
That's what I said.
bam.
Trying to make sure I get everything in here. And the next question is actually from someone who thought of this before they came, but they're actually here. What type of campaign do you recommend to get their feet wet and keep ad costs low while they learn? For example, a cold traffic content piece paired with a warm traffic retargeting for opt-in sale or application.
The only thing I would change about that, and you all know what's being asked there, right? It's add to content with the play of retargeting people who consume that content into a lead gen play, right? I think that's great. The only thing I would change about that content, we call it a parallax post. And all the difference is the content is not designed only to retarget that individual. We use the retargeting as a backup. That content in and of itself is designed and written with the intention of capturing the lead. So I would say go through your content that you already have out there, use retargeting as a backup, but make sure you restructure and repurpose your actual content by, let's give 2 ways just because we're running out of time. Number one, a call to action at the end of every content piece. 100%, every time you put out content, there needs to be a call to action to download something or call something or do something. And secondly, what we would call inline text. You realize that not everyone's going to read all your content, right? They ain't going to get to the bottom. So the only way to potentially capture a lead from someone is by still having what we call inline lead generation, and that's where just basically you refer to something in your content, which pops up a box and lets them capture the lead that way. Yeah?
That was actually
Maybe one more. If there's anybody else in the room, we have one more question. Time for one more? Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
And I think I'm hanging around, right? If we need.
Yeah. So
okay,
Nicholas will actually be out here too if you want to do that. We're going to take a quick break before we bring up my man Jeff Mass, and then also if you can stay around for that, we do want to make sure that you can hear this dude as well. So one more question.
We have some gifts too, right?
Oh yeah, we do have gifts.
No, we have gifts. Yes.
Yeah.
If you were going back in time
Yes.
to when the agency was still 6 figures and you wanted to grow to where you are right now,
Yeah.
in half the time, how
Yeah.
would you do it?
How would I do it? I'll tell you exactly how I did it. I reverse engineered and I basically said, okay, if I want $1 million agency, what do I need? I need 10 clients that pay me 10 grand a month and I've got $1 million agency. So that's what I did. I basically reverse engineered it to say what kind of value and what kind of client would I need to be able to charge $10,000 a month retainer for, or structure pricing so that I could get at least $10,000 and then literally only go after that type of client. Now, it doesn't have to be 10 at 10,000, it could be 20 at 5,000, right? But all I would do the moment I made that decision to say, I'm not gonna serve everybody, I'm gonna serve a particular type of client that can afford these services, what do I have to do to make that 10 grand a drop in the bucket for them? What kind of results do I need to get for them? And to make it a no-brainer or a risk reversal for them, the first few clients that I ever got, I made this deal to them. Rather than saying, and this is what a lot of agency people do, hey, I'll do your ads for free in exchange for like a testimonial or something so I can get other clients after the fact. I would never do that because that devalues your product or your service. What I did was I said, hey, look, this is what I charge to run ads, but I tell you what, let me run them first and only if you get your desired result will you pay me. I threw that out to 10 ideal high-level clients. 2 of them said yes, and then I was off to the races. Then the whole thing took off, and we were good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so.
And we finished with 1 minute to spare.
You did have 1 minute to spare. Guys, huge round of applause for Nicholas Guzman. So you do have some gifts. So Nicholas wrote a book, which is called, I'm going to get like a who's on first kind of thing here, but why? Would give, I'm just kidding. So here we go. This is the book, right?
Now, just so you know, the hardcovers are not available anywhere on the planet. You can't buy them. You can't do anything with them. This is the only place you can get them is if I gift them to you. And we brought
30, right?
One for everybody, basically.
Yeah, so everybody gets one of these books, which is pretty incredible. Will you stay over here and like do this or sign this or hang out for
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit?
So I know we got something coming up, but whatever. I'm here. We can sign. We can take pictures.
We'll take
we can
enough
talk,
of a break
we
to
do
make sure that
Q&A,
we
do whatever
get
we
Jeff
need.
mic'd up. So, guys, again, where are the books going to be, by the way? Are they just going to be out here? All right, cool. So he's going to go out here. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, take care.